One of the realities of selling products online is that at some point or another, you're going to be faced with a situation where a scammer is trying to get over on you. There are various different ways in how to handle this so that you can protect yourself or your business. So let's talk about it for a little bit. So regardless of whatever niche you happen to sell in and whatever platform, whether it's eBay, Etsy, whatnot, Facebook Marketplace, at some point or another, you're going to be confronted with somebody who's trying to get something from you for free or trying to steal from you. In order to best protect yourself, you need to have good operations protocols and controls. Now, these are fancy terms for day-to-day things that you should be doing as a seller. Let's go a bit deeper into what all that means. Whether you're a small mom and pop business that's being run out of a spare bedroom in your house and you just started your eBay journey, or you're a $2 million business where you repair fences or whatever the case, right? Regardless of the niche, regardless of the platform, having good operations procedures is going to be a make or break for your business. And going back to it, whether you're small or big, you're an operations manager. You're in charge of how the business is run. You are tasked with making these decisions. So implementing good controls and day-to-day activities is going to really set you up for success. What does that mean? Okay, if you are diligent, then there are things that your business is going to be doing on a day-to-day that are going to streamline your process and are also going to protect you. Here, we're specifically discussing scammers, right? We're going to use the example of eBay because I actually just ran into this week. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to share a little bit what we do, because we actually came out on top because we did everything that we were supposed to right. Okay, and I'll start with the fun part of the story, okay? For those of you that don't know me, I mainly sell video games and electronics. Is one of the things that I'm really passionate about. I've been a big fan of video games for as far back as I can remember. So that's one of the things that my store specializes on. So rewind to earlier this week, Monday, today is a Thursday. I sold this video game. It's somewhat sought after. And actually what we sold was the insert for the game and the manual. Let's see if I can put it here. And we shipped it out within 24 hours. It might have actually been even less. Might have sold that morning, and then we took it to the post office during our daily morning post office runs. Well, fast forward to 2 days after, which was yesterday, Wednesday, this buyer messages me saying, hey, you sent me the wrong thing. I'm missing pieces, etc., right? I'll spare the names. I don't want to put him out there like that. And so in his message, he starts talking about how he wants a refund. And I immediately go to my shipping girl and I said, hey, did this go out? Look at, because he actually included a picture, right? And I thought it was odd because I personally test everything that comes through my store. I take a lot of the pictures actually too. So a lot of it stays in the back of my head whenever somebody has a question about it, or whenever there's a discrepancy between the listing, the information, and the pictures, I remember. So I thought it was odd because he showed a manual for this, an insert for this, and a cardboard insert, as well as the cover art. And I remember that my listing didn't have that. I remember taking a picture of that. Even though this item had been in my store for over a year, I remember this. So I tell my shipper, hey, can you verify this? And here's where your day-to-day operations procedures come into play. So one of the things that I like to do, and we touched on this in another video I made where I talked about how to get positive feedback, is every single item that leaves, we message the buyer the day of saying, here's your item. This is the same one from the listing, because we specifically don't use stock pictures. We make sure that what you see is exactly what you're going to get, right? We include serial numbers, any identifying marks. We make sure to show defects. Defects will sometimes be your saving grace in these types of scenarios. And so I've drilled it into my shipping team to make sure that you take pictures and you let them know that it left. That way, nobody can say you sent them the wrong thing, or even in the event, because we all know that a lot of times buyers just don't read. They don't pay attention. They just see a picture, buy, right? And then they're like, oh no, I thought it included this. Oh, it's not what I wanted, whatever the case. So when you message them, you're giving them one more chance to let you know they're buying what they wanted to buy. They're getting from you what you promised them, right? And this gives the buyer a warm and fuzzy. It's an extra step. There's a lot of people out there that are going to be like, oh, I don't have time for all that. Okay, depending on your operation, there's different controls, there's different procedures that you can implement. There's people that only care about volume, okay? You'll go to their feedback page and it's nothing but red. All these complaints. Well, we try to minimize that. If you ever go to my store's feedback page, the only people who have ever left me red, negative feedback are people who tried to scam me and I fought them on it. Everybody else is super happy about what they got, how they got it, how fast they got it, so on and so forth. But I digress. So we went back and we verified our listing and we looked at the pictures that he sent us, right? He was already asking for a refund. The very first thing I did after that was go to the order details. Oh, lo and behold, the order details, the tracking both on the USPS website and on eBay show that the item hasn't even arrived. Okay, it's still several hours away, technically in a different state. So you want to be diligent. You want to stay on top of your business. That's another good business practice. You don't want to let messages linger in your inbox for too long. This doesn't mean that you're going to be glued to your phone, but let's be honest, if you sell on e-commerce, you are glued to your phone for the most part. And a lot of us actually work 24 hours a day between the various different hats that we wear. So get a message, give them some type of response. Even if you don't have the best answer at that time, as long as it's not a bad answer, give them something. Hey, so-and-so. It actually helps if you address them by name, right? Hello, Barry. Hello, Alan. Hello, Christy, whatever their name is. Thank you for your business. Hey, I saw this message came through. I'm looking at the order details and I'm showing that this is not marked as having arrived. The last scan was at so-and-so place. Furthermore, looking at the pictures that you sent us, thanks so much for providing those, right? And you don't have to quote me verbatim. I'm just giving you an examples of some of our verbiage. Looking at them and looking at the ones from our listing, I see that they are not the same. I'm wondering if perhaps you got the wrong seller confused or mixed up with this, right? Now, you being somebody who has good practices, dealing with these people is going to be very annoying, but you must remain professional, okay? And you know, if you've ever been in any of those Facebook groups or reseller groups, you'll see some amazing examples of how not to conduct yourself when talking to customers, okay? You want to remain professional. You always want to be the bigger person, no matter, even if you know that person is 100% wrong in what they are telling you, be professional. Remember that this is your brand and how you treat people matters. So we tell them, hey, is there any chance that you got us mixed with somebody else? We know that's not our product, right? And I show them examples where our product actually had a couple of spots where there were defects, right? And so we sent that message. We tell them that we're going to check with the post office and that we'll get back to them if we hear anything else. Well, lo and behold, not even 20 minutes from the time that I sent that message, after we did our due diligence and checked off all of our boxes, right? The guy writes back, oh yeah, I got you mixed up with somebody else, disregard. So could it have been an honest mistake? Sure, it very well may have been. Based on our experience, it likely wasn't. If you've been on the e-commerce platforms long enough, you've seen it. You've seen people, hey, how can we make this right? Hey, what do you suggest? Hey, give me a partial refund, right? And so each one calls for a different method of how do you handle it. But if you have proper procedures, then you'll be good. Okay, so to summarize, what are some good standard operating procedures for you to have as you run your shop? Well, one of them is to make sure that everything is being properly documented. Not just things like taking pictures of serial numbers. That should be a basic one. Model numbers. You want to do due diligence as a seller. You want to make sure you're giving yourself a good reputation. Treat your store like a brand. Your brand matters. So, for example, we're still specifically talking about eBay. You want to make sure that you have good quality listings, and that's a conversation, a whole other conversation, right? But some of what that would include would be accurate descriptions. Do not oversell your product. Take lots of pictures. Do not hide defects. That will bite you at some point. Matter of fact, it's best to point out defects, right? You don't have to over critique your item, but you do want to say, hey, there's a dent here. Make sure you look at all the pictures. There's cosmetic wear, etc., etc. But if nothing else, definitely do not oversell your item, okay? So you take pictures of everything, you document it, you mention it in your listing, and then when you're shipping, you make sure that that part is documented too. As I said before, I know that some people are going to say, oh, I don't have time for that. It all depends on how you want your business to run. I can tell you from personal experience that from the moment that we implemented that, our negative messages in terms of people wanting refunds or anything of the sort, they just dove off a cliff. You know, and we sell hundreds of video games, movies, electronics, every single month, toys, comic books, etc. Everything fun, right? All the fun is our motto. And nobody complains. Everybody does the opposite. Everybody gives us praise over our customer service, our communication, our fast delivery, so on and so forth. That's not bragging. That's just telling you that you can give your buyer, you can borderline force them to give you positive feedback if you treat them right. And I actually did another video where I talk about how to get positive feedback. I'll link it here. So the more good that you do on your end as a seller, as a manager, just the better protected that you're gonna be, right? And so those same standard operation procedures are going to also function as your controls. If you did everything you were supposed to do up until the moment where you handed that package over to a carrier, you're fine. Now, that's not to say that you're not going to run into people who are just bad, just have nothing better to do with their day, and they're going to fight you on it. But at that point, you know, that's where you got to have all your receipts per se, right? You contact eBay. That's also something that I would advise people to do right away. Somebody comes at you sideways and you know, like you don't think, you know that you didn't do anything wrong in the order process. Report them. Tell eBay what they did, what they're trying to do. Set a record. If sellers don't report bad buyers, then they'll never get kicked out of the platform. It's unfortunate that we're not allowed to leave customers on eBay negative feedback, and it's actually frowned upon by eBay, or actually I believe it's against their policies to use positive feedback to leave a negative note. Some people still get away with it, but you're not supposed to do it. So it's unfortunate that we don't have that ability. So the best next thing that we have is to report, give accurate accounts. We actually have, being in these circles, both here on this platform or Facebook and the others, we've actually come across mentions from other sellers where, holy cow, we've actually dealt with the same person that was trying to scam us out of South Carolina or wherever it was. Hey, was their username this? Yes, I reported them. Well, I reported them too. Well, hey, I'm happy to announce to all of you that the eBay rep actually told us that they were going to ban them off the platform. So this is all we can do. Anyway, I hope that helps out a little. Maybe get some gears turning in your head in the event that you didn't already have good controls, procedures as part of your day-to-day operations. You know, you want to have these in place as you go along. You don't want to have to be reactive, right? You always want to be proactive. And whoever's working with you needs to be familiar with these same ways of handling matters that may come across in the event that you're not available, right? In the Army, we used to have this mentality about training the trainer, right? You're always training whoever's under you to take your position so that when you're gone, they can take over. I know that's kind of different in the civilian world because it's viewed differently. But it's still a good practice to have for you as a business owner, especially when you own the business, right? Nobody's going to replace you without your consent. But anyway, let us know if you've run into any of these situations, if you have bad outcomes, good outcomes, neutral outcomes, maybe outcomes where you won, but you got a bad taste in your mouth. And let me know if you have any questions on what sort of things we do here to protect ourselves from bad actors.